There's a certain kind of disrespect that doesn't look loud. It doesn't come with in-your-face insults or confrontation. In fact, it sometimes hides behind politeness, and it's called withholding, okay? And all my pretty girls out there know exactly what withholding is because people like to use it to humble you. They like to withhold praise, they like to withhold support, and they like to withhold acknowledgement. And something I notice is once you recognize this as a humbling tactic, you'll start to see it everywhere, like with family, unfortunately, with friends, in the workplace, with your bosses, with your coworkers, and in just random social circles. So today we're talking about the subtle ways people try to shrink you down when your presence and your progress, or even just your potential, makes them uncomfortable. So first we need to get into what humbling tactics really are. They are covert control behaviors. Okay, keep that in mind. Covert is the key word because it's always going to be hidden and subtle. And it's designed that way so that other people don't detect it and you're the only one that detects it. That's what makes it evil, because if you try to confront it, they'll call you crazy. They'll tell other people, look, she's crazy. She's making things up. No one even did anything to her. And so people who do covert control, they're used by people who feel threatened but don't want to look insecure. So it's sort of like a dog whistle, and dog whistling is when no one else can hear the whistle but the dog. That's what they're doing to you. They're dog whistling you. So instead of openly competing with you, they attempt to undermine your confidence. So they like to shoot you down, whether it's, to your face or behind your back or in front of groups of people. Covert people love doing that when they have an audience. They love that crap. They distort your self-perception by projecting, of course, and they like to assert their dominance without confronting you. And that's another way that they like to assert power and dominance and try to, have a pissing contest with you to make you feel smaller and to see if they can overpower you in subtle ways. So one of the most common tactics of humbling in this regard is selective acknowledgement. So they see you, they know what you're doing, they know what you're up to, what you're trying to accomplish. They just refuse to name it. They refuse to tell you like you're doing great, or they refuse to actually give you your flowers. And not because it isn't impressive to them, because they're definitely blown away by you. That's why they hate you so much. But it's because it would force them to accept your position as maybe better than them or really skilled at something. A lot of people don't want to give you acknowledgement because they don't want to have to admit that you are excellent at something, because they think that in some way that would mean that they're not excellent. Even though we all have our own gifts and we all have our own talents and abilities. And so you shedding light on someone else's gifts doesn't take away from your own. So one of the clearest signs to me of a humbling tactic is when support becomes conditional, like when people want to withhold their praise and support from you. This could be family, this could be friends, this could be a toxic man in your life. You'll notice things like they celebrate everyone else publicly but go silent when it's you. So this is, again, something that they do that they know is going to hurt you, but you can't really call it out without looking super insecure or crazy, because it's like, well, there's no proof. And these people know that. Something you'll also notice is they change the subject when your wins come up, or suddenly they forget, quote unquote, forget to congratulate you. And they'll downplay what took you real effort to achieve. So this is how you'll know that someone is purposely withholding praise, because they will obviously support others proudly and loudly while trying to minimize and shrink your accomplishments. And it is not accidental. It is meant to be a slap in the face to you. And this is something people love to do to pretty women, because they want you to shuck and jive for their approval and for their validation, for their congratulations, and for their applause. People literally want you to perform for them in order for them to give you the praise that you deserve. Meanwhile, they'll praise the mediocre woman in the room. They'll praise the other person in the room out of pity, but they'll purposely go out of their way to minimize you while also trying to highlight negative things about you to contradict your victories or to contradict the great things that you're doing. People who are insecure love to do this. They love doing this as well. People who hate beautiful women who are insecure, they definitely are going to withhold praise. And really, it's just sending an unspoken message where they're trying to tell you, low-key, covertly, don't get too big, don't get too confident, stay in your place. You know, it's subtle. But your nervous system is always going to notice it, which is why you get this weird, unsettling feeling when someone tries to pull a fast one on you like this. When someone tries to do something covert to you, you feel it in your nervous system immediately that this person is trying to downplay who you are. Another classic tactic is selective visibility. So you could be in a room, you're contributing, this could be work, a social circle, a social event, whatever. You're performing well, yet somehow everyone else gets noticed, they get notoriety, they get spotlight, and they get credit for things. And when you get acknowledged, it's very vague or dismissive, or you don't get acknowledged at all, right? And this behavior is really strategic by the insecure person who's doing this to you, because it's a way to rewrite the social hierarchy without openly challenging you. They're hoping that by doing this to you, they can turn the tables and make it so that, you, this beautiful, gorgeous girl, this exotical, this beautiful woman who, has preferential treatment wherever you go and you're pedestalized. Now, because they said so and because they're uplifting everyone but you, that means that you're at the bottom and the mediocre people who band together to feel better about themselves are at the top. It is so clear as day when they do this. It infuriates me. It really does piss me off, and I have to work on that. It still bothers me to this day when people do that to me, because don't do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I never go into spaces trying to downplay other people or make other people feel less than. I can't help that my presence makes you feel that way. You have to work that out. But that doesn't mean that you should be doing things covertly, like selective visibility and choosing who you want to praise over me because you want to play a mind game to try to make me feel like I'm at the bottom of the totem pole when you know that I'm at the top. Because the only people who people do that to are people who are perceived to be at the top. So if they can't outshine you, they'll just try to make you invisible. And I've experienced this so many times, it's not even funny. And finally, one of the most passive-aggressive humbling tactics there are is comparison. People who are threatened or insecure, they like to prop others up against you to provoke you. So toxic men do this all the time. Narcissists do this all the time. They like to triangulate. Even if they know the other person couldn't even hold a matchstick to you, they're going to do everything in their power to make you feel like you're not special and that you need to prove to them why you're special. And they will get a whole third party involved so that you can basically fight for your position. But people like to do this a lot. They love to intentionally compare you to other people. So this is when people overpraise others in front of you. They elevate people who clearly are less skilled, less aligned, less developed, and they do it loudly and repeatedly, and it's very, very annoying. And they're hoping that they can get a reaction out of you, and they really are just trying to provoke you to anger. They want to see if they can make you doubt yourself. They want to see if they can trigger jealousy. And they really just want to get an emotional reaction because these people are demons. And these are the only types of people who would do things like that. People who are secure and settled in themselves, they don't have time to play these types of games. So something I notice is, especially when you're beautiful, you're talented, this tactic is meant to say, like, you're replaceable. You're not better than the next person. So stay in your place. They want to make you afraid to be knocked off of your pedestal, when that could never happen, because guess what? You control your world. So if someone is trying to knock you off of your pedestal, or if someone's trying to bring another person, another third party into the mix to try to, provoke you or make you feel like you have to prove yourself, or, oh, you're replaceable, so do X, Y, and Z, you can literally remove yourself. You never have to sit there and play that game with people. I feel like sometimes we forget that we have free will. We do not have to sit there and play these games with people because it's our life. I'm always going to be the main character in my life. I'm always going to be the top priority, the most pedestalized in my life. So if you come into my life trying to make me compare myself to another person, immediately that's not going to work, because I'm going to remove myself. And that's how you can beat these people at their own comparison games, is just demoting people, demoting their position in your life, demoting their opinions, demoting the level of relevancy they have in your life. Like, you literally control everything. You hold the cards, you hold the deck. Don't let anyone come into your life and try to provoke you by propping up someone else in your own freaking life. So here's my question to you ladies. Are you naturally confident? Are you visibly glowing? And have you always been someone who's very visible to people, meaning you attract people, you're a magnet? Do you not need permission to shine? Like, do you not apologize for shining and glowing and being authentic? And do you carry a quiet authority? Like, sometimes, ladies, when you carry that quiet authority, it's like it's polarizing. So if any of those qualities sound like you, or if all of those qualities sound like you, that is why you're being humbled. People can't stand someone who has an internal locus of control, who controls their own life, their own mindset, who is in control of their beliefs, in their self-image and self-actualization. It's too much for these people to swallow. It's too big of a pill. And the only thing that they can do to feel like they can measure up to you is try to take you down. So ladies, drop down in the comments section. Let me know your thoughts. I'll also be leaving my email in the description box so you can share your stories with me there as well. Have a lovely day, ladies.